Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start talking about how to write a resume. Now, let's first determine what is a resume? Why do we need one? Well, first of all, a resume is a written document that tells your future employer, that person who you want to go to work for, who you are, what you've done, and why they should hire you. Now, I call this tooting my own horn, meaning I'm the one who's going to brag on myself through my resume. Now, I want to be careful as I brag. I only want to use factual stuff. Don't make up anything. I knew of a guy who made up stuff on his resume, and about 2 years into this job, they found it out and they immediately fired him. He had problems getting a job after that. So, factual stuff, stuff that's true. I want to use strong words, and that is words that people need, know, and that will help me get the job. All right, so my resume tells my future employer or my potential employer who I am and what I do. Now, a lot of our jobs require to fill out online. All that stuff will come right off your resume. Most of them will also say, if you have a resume, upload it now. And so let's look at what goes on that resume, why it's important, and how to create it. The first thing you're going to need to know or need to put on there is your name. And you put that at the very top. I'm going to upload some examples for you to look at, but you're going to put your name at the very top. Why? You want people to remember your name. And for me, I always put it a little bold, a little bit, don't go crazy with the fonts, but I put something a little bit larger so they know this is Mr. Mark's resume. So our name. Now, how are they going to get a hold of me? They know my name, but how will they know? Well, I need to be able to put my physical address. That means your city, your street address, the state, even the country if you're applying for something outside the country. They may be mailing you things that you're going to need to be able to get. So they're going to need a physical address. Well, that's going to be true when you fill out the paperwork. So it ought to match, meaning when you get a job. So you're going to need to have that physical address on there. The second thing is a phone number. Now, a phone number, they may call you and say, hey, Mr. Marks, are you available at this time to come in? They may send me a text. And so they may even do the very first interview through a phone. In being hired, I have had to go through a phone interview first. So make certain they have that way to get to you because you want them to contact you. And so that's what that resume is about. Current phone number. That also means as you're looking for a job, change the way that your answer machine answers. Don't let it say something crazy. Be very professional and make certain it's on there. When you answer your phone, be very professional because it may be that potential employer. The third thing you're going to need on there is your email address. Now, your email address is there so that they can send you information quickly and you can respond. You may do a lot on email because that's kind of where we've gone to recently is more email. So make certain it's a current email address. Use one that you will look at all the time. Now, I have about 6 different email addresses for different things, different businesses and all that. And so I focus on the one that I'm going to expect a potential employer to send stuff to me. And that way I'm checking it. Okay? The first is who you are, how do I get to you? The next thing is telling them what it is you want in a job. It's called our objective. And so our objective says, this is the job I'm looking for because. Now, if I'm looking for, let's say, a business job as a teacher, I would come off and say, okay, I am looking to move to the high school and teach, or I'm looking to teach high school students business because I have so much business experience that I want to be able to improve their experience in learning. Okay? And so I might put that in there. Now, I just did that off the top of my head. When I began to write it down, now I want to use some really strong words. And some of those strong words you're going to find in other people's objectives and in their resume. Look at a bunch of resumes. Look at that maybe even applying for what you want and find those strong words, the words that are being used over and over. Now, this may sound crazy, but when you find those words, if a computer scans this first, it's going to say, I'm looking for someone who does this, this, and this. Are these words in here? And the more times it's in there, the more times that these specific words for that job or in that resume, it pulls it out. If they're not listed at all, that resume is going to go away. But if these key words are in there, the computer that scans it is going to tag this one, set it aside so that a human can pick it up and contact you with it. So that's what I want. Read some in your profession that you're interested in. What words are they using? What keywords seem to continually show up? And you want to make certain those are in your objective. It ought to be a single sentence. 2 sentences, I think, to me, is stretching it. You could use 2 sentences, but I sure wouldn't go more than that. And keep it simple, meaning don't go off and expand on a lot. Keep it straightforward and simple. People are not going to spend a lot of time reading your resume. So you want it to be straightforward in the face. Tell them what you want. All right? After our objective, then we're going to talk about our experience. What have you done in that particular profession, or what have you done that helps you get to that profession? So let's think. Again, I'm looking for a teaching job. Looking for that teaching job, I would put in here the first thing, my most current job is teaching at Sellers Middle School or Sellers Global Language and Leadership Magnet, Business Language and Leadership Magnet. So I put that in there, and I would put 2012, which is when I began to work at Sellers, to current. So they know I've been working there about 8 years. And so I would put that on there so they'd say, hey, he stays with the job, he's been around. That immediately tells them. I'm also going to put it's in Garland, Texas, Garland ISD, specifically where it is so they know where was this job and how do I contact. You might even have to put an address in there. The second thing I'm going to put on in this same experience of this same thing is going to be what I did there. What is it I do that makes me qualified to do this job? Well, so I teach multiple business classes. So I would put those on there. Currently teaching business marketing and finance, a 9th grade class, keyboarding, a 9th grade class, investigating financial careers, which is an investigative class for 7th and 8th graders. Professional communications I've taught, which is also a 9th grade class that fits in that business realm. And so I would put all those on there. I would also put in things like I also teach honors English. And I might even put in there all of my students have passed the STAR every year. And so I could put that on there that says, hey, I'm a good teacher. I know what I'm doing. And so that would fit in it. Now, once I finish with that one, I would go to maybe the next job. Now, the previous job before that, I owned a construction company. So I would put the name of that in the construction company and the things that I did. Now, I would put that because I'm looking for a business job in my objective, and it fits. So I would list it out there in the things that I did in that business and with that business. So they can see my experience just as a teacher, but also as a business person, and I can list some of those. All right? So I'm going to put experiences, I'm going to put those years down there, and if there's a gap, I may need to fill in, but I may not. I may be able to explain that later. All right? So I'm going to list my experiences. Now, there may be some jobs, and I did a lot of jobs going through school that were part-time or something like that, I wouldn't put on there. Just simply because they don't fit with this. I drove a limousine, okay? I did professional photography. I'm not going to put those. They don't really fit in the business portion. So those kinds of things, I did them part-time. It's not a big deal. So I might not list those. So I'm going to get all my experience in. Now, if this is the first time you're looking for a job, have you ever babysat? You put that in there. Babysat for these particular people during the summer or at different times. I worked as a lifeguard in the pool, or you could even put volunteer jobs here. Okay, so I volunteered at this in my church, working with children. If you're looking for a job, if your objective is right now to work for somebody as a babysitter. So I might put all those in there. Then I'm going to come down once I finish my experience, everything focus back here. I'm going to come down to education. Now, I'm going to put the education, first of all, that applies to where I'm going with my objective. So I would come back here and put, like for me, I graduated from Texas Wesleyan University. And so I would put that, I'd put the year, I'd put the degree that I have and a little bit about it. So my degree is in business administration with a focus on mathematical models for management decisions. It's a mouthful, sounds like it's a big thing. It's not, it's logistics. And so I would put that in there. And any other classes that were higher level that other people maybe didn't have. So I would put that in here for my first education. Well, my next one, I also have a master's degree. Now it doesn't apply to business, but I do have a master's degree, so I'm going to list that out. What about other training I've had in education? Other things like, let's see, I just finished a CPR class. I might put that in there. I just finished a U.S. Olympic sailing class. I don't know about it fitting in business, so I might not put it in there. But if I was looking at a sailing thing, I'd put it in there. What are the experiences, what are the education or classes that I've had that are going to fit with this current job? And so I want to list those in my education. What classes have I gone? What seminars? Those type of things. Once I get all those done, then I'm going to come down here to activities. Now, things that I'm currently involved with. And those activities may be involvement in a church, it may be involvement in a community. I used to do a lot of community type of activities with different organizations. So I would put that because what it tells them is I don't just care about money and this, I care about everybody. Maybe I could put down here, if I was looking up here as teacher, that I coached softball. I coached softball for several years for my girls. And so I might put that in there because it's activities that I got involved in. I've been involved in some disaster relief, so I might put that in here too. It just shows that I care about others, which is important when it comes to teaching. Okay, so I might put those kinds of activities. Now, if you're looking at from school, are you in band? Are you in the chess club? Are you in drill team or any of those type of activities that show you taking responsibility, that you have some intellectual ability, or that fits in with this? I'm going to put those kind of activities down here. And maybe how long you did them. Our last one is going to be awards. So awards that you've won, they're going to help back up to here. Now, you do not have to put this one in. Activities, I think you do, but you don't have to put this one in. But it's a great way. Again, you're tooting your own horn. So I was JC of the Year for Fort Worth 1 year. I've won awards at school, and I could list some of those if I felt like they applied back up here. If not, I'm not going to put every trophy I ever won. I mean, because some of them are participation. Actually, we didn't get those, but and so I would put awards that I maybe have that help us focus on this. Okay, now that should finish your resume. You are also going to need some references. Those are people who are going to say, yes, I worked with Mr. Marks. Yes, he worked for me. Yes, he volunteered with me. Yes, he's been part of my education. For you getting a job now, a teacher is going to be a great reference for you because they see how you work in school, how might you work in a business. So references, and that they're going to use the same kind of information up here, their name, their title, who they are, how to get a hold of them, a street address or an email address, a phone number, those kinds of things you're going to need. Now, I provide that on a second sheet, not on the main sheet, to give them to it. All right. Now, here's one thing that we don't talk about often. This is best done on a single sheet of paper. And here's the reason why. Most people, when they're faced with a whole stack of resumes and they're looking for people, they give you about 20 seconds. If they don't see what they're looking for in 20 seconds, they're moving to the next one. And if it's got multiple sheets and I've got to read a lot to get to it, they may very well set it aside. Okay, so the best you can do, get it on one sheet or 1 1/4 at the most, the front and the quarter of the back. But keep it as simple, straightforward, use strong words, use the things that'll help you get your job. Now it's going to be your turn to put this together. Now here's the way I think you do this. This stuff is going to be static. You're going to know that. I want you to think about your objective. What do you want to be when you get out of school? And so I'm going to dream on that. And what does that mean? I'm going to look at some resumes to see what it is they put in their objective. And then filling out the rest of this experience. For right now, it may just have middle school in there if it was something currently job, but maybe in the future I might have all my other education, my experience in education, things like that. All right? Big key. Look at some resumes, see what works, see strong words, put them in your resume, and you have a better chance of getting that job.